We have, I can't even tell you how many, quite a few comments. Apparently, a lot of people are here on specific subjects, so I'm going to give at least an hour, maybe an hour and 15 if we're getting good progress with this, to public comment. But in order to ensure that your side gets heard, I would advise some of these larger groups of people to perhaps designate 1 or 2 or 3 even people to speak on their behalf, just to make sure that your side is, or whatever your issue is, gets heard. Okay, so proceeding, generally I give each public speaker 3 minutes. I'm going to start that way. If you combine with someone else, I'll give you up to 3 minutes apiece to a maximum of 10 minutes. But having said that, hopefully I didn't confuse everybody. Susan Jordan, who has someone's seating time, will have 6 minutes. Thank you. Karen Studi is next, and then she'll have 3 minutes. And now I'm going to start cutting back to 2 minutes per speaker because I still have dozens and dozens of people who like to speak. Or you can allocate your time to people who have the same mind. Who else is here on Morro Bay?
I'm from Morro Bay.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else?
I am.
Okay, well, you two will be my last at this point. We've already given you guys over an hour, 20, so we normally do a half an hour. But I will continue public comment at the end of our session today, and hopefully it's not a very long session because we got a lot of stuff canceled. So if you can stay and observe or come back a little later, then I'll take the rest of public comment.
Can I make a request, please? So if you have people who are against the Desal project who have been here, I have to leave. Can you please stand up if you were going to speak against the Desal project?
And what Desal project are we talking about? I'll tell you what, let me take these 2 people and then I'll take 1 person, probably you, from the Desal project. Please sit down. You can come back in the afternoon. I'm not going to cut you off. No, come on.
You let Jeff Jarvis speak.
You want to act like children or you want to act like grown-ups? So cut it out. All right, we're going to finish with you and the other lady from Morro Bay, and then we're going on to our agenda. Okay, Christopher? Okay. So here's what I'd like to do, if it's okay with staff, is I would like us to hopefully estimate what we think our time for the agenda of today is, so I can tell all these people what time they would likely be heard. And then all of you may not be able to come back, but please select the people from your group who can represent you. You'll have more time in the afternoon than you have right now. Since most things got canceled.
I would imagine somewhere around 3 o'clock or so.
3 o'clock or so?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guarantee you, if you're here at 3 o'clock, I'll be here. So we'll hear what you have to say. So I really urge you to organize. I know it's important for you to show us support.
We are. We're very organized.
Okay.
We are.
We're this commission going to take a short break, and then we'll come back to our agenda. Thank you.
Wow, I thought you got a turn. Serious.
Eric Tynan, GM? Sorry.
General Manager.
General Manager, thank you. And how many minutes do you need?
3 or 4 at the grid.
3.
My name is Julie Hoffman, as stated before. I am a resident of Marina and also a citizen for Just Water. CalAm has claimed that the State Water Resources Board agrees that this Slant Well project is fully compliant with water law. This is misrepresentation so gross that the State Water Board found it necessary to clarify its position in a letter dated September 4th, 2018. The letter said that CalAm must demonstrate that its extraction would not injure or harm other legal users of water, and that project water source must be surplus to the needs of groundwater users in the SVGB. And I hope you know that's Salinas groundwater basin, for any future use of appropriative rights. On March 7th, the Marina Planning Commission denied the CalAm coastal permit on findings of many LCP violations, including the finding that I'll read in part. It is undisputed that the CalAm project lacks any current water rights to extract groundwater from the Salinas Valley groundwater basin. It has no overlying water rights, no existing appropriate rights, and no prescriptive groundwater rights in the basin. It has no accepted path forward to obtain any overlying or prescriptive rights in the future, and no recognized permit path forward to obtain any such appropriate rights. CalAm hopes to pursue a salvaged water or a developed water theory to eventually obtain such rights, but no California case has ever found that the treatment of brackish groundwater qualifies to cover for this theory. This basin is critically overdrafted, so there is no surplus water available for appropriation. Moreover, it appears that CalAm would not be able to establish such right because it will not be able to meet its burden to prove that the project will not harm or cause injury to any other legal user of groundwater in the overdrafted basin. Before any appeal is considered for a coastal development permit, simply ask CalAm to produce a document showing current groundwater rights, without which this project is illegal. All those who agree with me, please raise your hands.
Thank you very much. So we'll go on with her rest. State your name, 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is David Burnett, I'm a resident of Marina and a citizen for Just Water. Why can a project continue to be advanced when it is supposed to pump only ocean water, but in reality will be pumping some other jurisdiction's groundwater without any water rights to do so? Why can a project that proposes to take this water for free, but not provide any desalinated water to the jurisdiction from which that water will be taken, and forces this jurisdiction to assume all the risk and harm? Why can a public agency, the CPUC, approve an EIR and building permit that purposely ignores a Stanford University study with advanced and expansive scientific methodology that shows harm to a disadvantaged community's sole source of water? Why can a wealthier community whose water purveyor has compromised its own 2 water sources now look to illegally extract water from Marina? Why is a community of 21,000 people with a 50% minority and mixed-race population and a high poverty rate forced to expend $1 million of its public funds in legal fees and at least another $1 million more projected in order to protect its water source from a mega profit corporation? Why has CalAm never provided public information or outreach to a marina, yet, among many other hosted venues, brought their entire board of directors to the peninsula to hear public comment? Why is it acceptable for a project to do illegal water grab through outblasting and overspending in disadvantaged communities' financial reserves? Why? Why can an illegal project's overt admission of permanent impacts to another sensitive habitat be justified and deemed as acceptable impacts? These questions can only be answered as classic examples of environmental injustice. Please apply your recently approved policy to this CalAm project as if it's very example of what your environmental justice policies are designed to address. All those who agree with me, please raise your hands. Thank you.
Thank you
Keep
very
your
much.
hands up.
Here, Kathy.
Great, thank you. Point Blue reports show 4-year plummeting population of western snowy plovers, a threatened species found on 3 Marina beach sites. Yet there is no mention of the installation and operation since 2015 of an industrial intrusion on the beach, CalAm's test slant well, and hence no analysis. If crows, humans, and dogs are the cause, is there a statistically significant increase that correlates to these dramatic declines? We now have real data, and the environmental impact of the experimental CalAm project needs serious study before 6 more wells are approved. Marina values our western snowy plovers. Slide 1, please. Our downtown banners display the snowy plovers. Oops, wrong one, but that's okay. Slide 2, ads for a new housing development feature the pristine nature of our beaches using the plovers. Slide 3, Marina's Earth Day event by Citizens for Sustainable Marina has a mascot, Rover the Plover. Slide 4, in 2017, Marina officially adopted the western snowy plover as our official shorebird. The CEMEX Global Settlement Agreement that ended coastal sand mining was an environmental victory by the efforts of the Coastal Commission, the State Lands Commission, and the City of Marina. The agreement was carefully written to respect any existing easement rights of record identified by CEMEX. Yet, the signed CalAm easement agreement came well after the finalization of the CEMEX agreement. We just found that out. So a pre-existing easement may not exist. Further, CalAm states there will be permanent damage to the sensitive habitat in Marina. How can an illegal project be allowed to create permanent damage? Knowing all this, envision instead public agencies buying the CEMEX property, restoring the habitat, and repurposing this industrial site for conservation and public recreation uses in perpetuity, as is spelled out in the CEMEX settlement agreement. All those who agree with me, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. Troy?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Troy Chikawa with Citizens for Just Water. There must be a paradigm shift in how we prioritize future water supplies. All current users of water in our Monterey region pump groundwater. Our aquifers and rivers are now overdrafted and new sources must be found. The subsurface ocean intake could be such a new source, but CalAm Slant Well project is a bait and switch ploy. It is not a subsurface ocean intake and will illegally pump groundwater from another's jurisdiction. The California Coastal Commission has a stated preference for subsurface ocean intake projects over deep ocean intakes. But even better is to give first priority to recycled water projects that not only replenish aquifers in a sustainable manner and are far less costly. Aquifer water is the most valuable source of water, and aquifers are the biggest, most reliable storage vessels we could ever hope to have, far exceeding any above ground holding tanks. If we overdraft these aquifers, the spaces that would be devoid of water will collapse and hold no water. Ultimately, we will have also destroyed this immense natural storage tank below the surface. Recycled water avoids both issues. Recently, the State Board issued a press release stating they have updated their policy to encourage recycled water to address the effects of climate change, drought, and the water supply uncertainty. If you follow your Commission mandates to protect endangered species and groundwater resources and ensure fair coastal access for disadvantaged communities by denying the CalAm permit, an alternative recycled water project called Pure Water Monterey Expansion would assuredly be pursued and completed as a feasible alternative. We ask you to deny the CalAm permit on its own merits in order to prevent the severe and unjust environmental and economic impacts upon Marina. All those who agree with me, please raise your hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Therese Culver. I'm a resident of East Garrison and a citizen for Just Water. The Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014 mandates collaboration among agencies designated as users of specific water basins. This collective responsibility comes from a key understanding that groundwater must be protected, and it is no longer acceptable, for example, for a more powerful, resource-rich entity to draw out water indiscriminately. Every extraction affects every other user. As simple and obvious as this is, this law comes late when basins are already overdrafted and the ocean has intruded into our aquifers as a direct result of inland overdraft, filling the gaps where fresh water used to be. SIGMA, as well as the State Ocean Plan and Marina's LCP, seeks to halt this trend and to establish accountabilities for reversing continued degradation of groundwater. In our region, we are so fortunate to have three key public agencies: Monterey One Water, headed by Paul Sciutto, Monterey Coast Water District, headed by Keith Vandermountain, and Monterey Peninsula Water Management District, headed by David Stolt, all of whom are intelligent, highly experienced, and ethical leaders. By your decisions to deny a coastal permit that Marina has already legitimately rejected in accordance to its LCP, these local leaders can and will work cooperatively to develop new water sources that will not impact our coastline and do so without profit seeking. We have 491 petition signatures, the details of which are in our handouts. from people who support this recycled water alternative. Both CalAm and the CPUC choose to not support the pure water Monterey expansion. Remember that CalAm has no role in the Salinas Valley groundwater basin from which they propose to extract massive amounts of water. Please uphold groundwater protections and deny CalAm's appeal for a coastal development permit. All those who agree with me, please raise your hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Kennedy, a resident of Marina and a citizen for Just Water. The City of Marina Planning Commission denied CalAm's coastal development permit on March 7th last month, citing, among many other violations of the local coastal plan, findings regarding application of the Coastal Commission's sea level rise guidance. A photo of the Tide Resort in Seaside, just 5 miles south of Marina, is being displayed. How do we think this hotel will fare with sea level rise? Notice how close the waves are, not even at high tide. Please. Here's a photo of the Sand City Eco Resort, currently being built less than 4 miles south of Marina. You can see the dunes area already flattened in preparation for the building and how close it will sit to the ocean. Imagine what the future may have in store for this new hotel when significant sea level rise occurs. Perhaps new developments may be accommodating for stability and structural integrity that does not contribute to erosion or geographic instability when sea level rise occurs. We hope so. But now visualize CalAm's 7 slant well structures on the shores of Marina and the impact in ways we have to consider 20 or 50 years from now. Marina wants to be proactive in using the best available science to prepare for the inevitable, significant sea level rise before we advance any industrial project directly on our shores. The town of Marina has denied CalAm's permit, and we hope the Coastal Commission does not approve an appeal permit, part by considering the impact of sea level rise. All those who agree with me, please raise your hands. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Catherine O'Day. Catherine.
My name is Kathy Biela, and I just got an email from Catherine O'Day, who could not return this afternoon, so may I read her statement?
Yes.
My name is Catherine O'Day. I am the Executive Director of Save Our Shores. We have been caring for and protecting the marine environment of our Central Coast for 40 years. Some of you may recall back in 2016 and 2017, Save Our Shores, along with Surfrider and private citizens, Dr. Ed Thornton and Kathy Biela, among others, campaigned to close the CMEX sand mining plant, which was causing the highest rates of erosion on any California shoreline. Our strategic efforts resulted in a landmark settlement agreement with CMEX to cease all sand mining by 2020 and close the site completely by 2023. With the stipulation to honor any existing legal easements, all CMEX lands were to be purchased by one or more public agencies and restored and repurposed for conservation and open space in perpetuity. Needless to say, it was a day of great celebration. We all look forward to the reestablishment of the sensitive habitat for threatened and endangered species. Marina's dramatic dunes and beaches could now be free of an operating industrial facility. However, if you approve CalAm's appeal for a coastal development permit, the CMEX site will not be repurposed for conservation and open space. Instead, it will be repurposed for another industrial operation, compromising once again what should be an important nesting area for the western snowy plover, whose numbers in Marina have been in marked decline, coinciding with the building of CalAm's test slant well pipe at the CMEX site in January of 2015. Therefore, we urge you to conduct a plover specific investigation to scientifically determine if any or all of their decline can be attributed to the test slant well installation and operations, which we believe the EIR did not consider in its conclusions before smoothing the way for the construction of 6 additional. Please deny the appealed coastal development permit when it comes before you until such a study is conducted. It is critical to preserve sensitive
Okay,
habitat.
thank you. We're going over the time.
Thank you.
All right, now that's the end of that list of people that Julie Hoffman mentioned. Now, is there anyone else out here speaking for or on the CalAm project that's not a member of Julie's group? Come on up. And state your name and I'll find your card. You each get 2 minutes.
Let's do it that way, because it's Helen Spees.
Helen? Okay, go ahead, go start speaking, I'll just find it.
Yes, I'm a new resident to the Monterey area, but a longtime follower of the Coastal Commission, having been the daughter of a public activist and an oceanographer at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Looking at the Commission's year in review for 2017, I find you were very proud of your actions at the July meeting when you told the public you had reached an agreement, as stated earlier, that the CMAX plant would be shut down. And I was surprised that you forgot to say in your public statement, aside from easements already granted. One major difference I've noticed between my childhood home in La Jolla and my new home in Marina is very simple. It's called clout. Some towns have it, and some towns don't. Why isn't CalAm proposing a desal plant in Carmel? You could run those pipes right underneath Monastery Beach. Why not? Because the uproar would shake San Andreas fault. There are ways to solve the problem without spending megabucks, but for its bottom line, CalAm needs a big project. And because of its failures in the past, it needs one fast. So CalAm looks to Little Marina. They already have the county dump. They already have the sewage treatment plant. Nobody's going to notice if we sneak a desal plant in, play our cards right, and we won't have to pay Marina to pump the water out of their own groundwater levels. Except that the City Council has noticed, and around the Monterey Bay, citizens have noticed. And we come to you because the Coastal Commission is the entity that is supposed to notice these things. You're supposed to be immune to the interests of people who chat with you ex parte. You're supposed to emphasize environmentally sustainable options. Your mission statement includes terms like protecting and enhancing California's coast and ocean, and rigorous use of science, and even intergovernmental coordination. The rigorous science is there. The city of Marina is waiting for your coordination. All we need is for you to fulfill your part of the bargain. Protect and enhance California's coast for the present and future
Thank you very
generations.
much. And who's the other person? Come on up, just, if you're on the, just tell me your name so I can find you.
My name is Al Shamble,
Al?
and I'm a homeowner in East Garrison, a new community in the county of Monterey. Thank you for allowing me to speak against the proposed desalinization plant. My career for 38 years was in Silicon Valley Semiconductor Operations Management, manufacturing, environmental health and safety facilities, solar, and equipment engineering management. I know the pros and cons of state-of-the-art high-tech and the care it needs to keep people and the environment safe. Monterey Bay is a national marine sanctuary. It is not a laboratory for unproven, untested designs such as the proposed desal plant. Nowhere in the world is there such a design that has been proven. This slant well is an experiment with Marina. Why should Marina be a guinea pig in this unproven technology? What could possibly go wrong? Many things can go wrong. This information about the slant wells began early on. One hole, few little holes in the pipe will just suck up some water. Then it's slanting, and there's a lot of holes. And now the holes are bringing up brackish water, and ocean water, and fresh water. There's a lot of misinformation. There's also poor science on the gradient that is going between the ocean and the freshwater. The proposal, the studies were done during a drought year when the gradient was pushed. This year, we've had a lot of rain, and last year, the gradient is probably pushed out now. There's probably a lot of fresh water that's pushing the ocean back. And so they would be pumping fresh water as well as ocean water. So we have enough misinformation in politics. What we need is truth and people and organizations that look for them and see the truth.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Brian McCarthy. I'd like to get a comments of Keith Vandermatten, General Manager of Marina Coast Water District, who was here this morning but could not return. In the near future, it is expected that this commission may be hearing an appeal from CalAm regarding a permit for its Desal project. If that permit is not approved, it wouldn't end our region's ability to achieve a solution to our regional water supply needs. There is a better solution available today that meets our regional needs. In its current form, the Desal project will significantly damage the groundwater basin to the detriment of many businesses and residents that live and work in Marina and Fort Ord who depend on that groundwater. While the Desal project EIR has been approved by the CPUC, it is being challenged in the Supreme Court because of its significant flaws. Most importantly, its obvious omission to evaluate impacts to the water quality to the basin. The EIR also did not address the fact that CalAm simply has no rights to the water it will be extracting from an already critically overdrafted basin. If CalAm continues to push forward to attempt to extract water without its rights, it will likely lead to an adjudication process for the entire basin, killing all current efforts towards achieving groundwater sustainability and wasting millions of dollars already spent to this goal. The EIR also failed to fully analyze the option of the expanded Pure Water Monterey project as an alternative to Desal. The Pure Water Monterey project, which makes use of available purified recycled water, is available today as an alternate water supply project for CalAm in place of Desal. It is enough water to meet both CalAm's demands and growth in their system and the cease and desist order milestones on the Carmel River. Pure Water Monterey is far less expensive, far less energy intensive, and is completely outside of the coastal zone, so it will not impact coastal resources, and it will not impact groundwater and sustainable groundwater management efforts. Pure Water Monterey is an expansion of a current project permitting is straightforward, which means it can be online in 2021 to meet the CDO milestones.
Thank you. Water people? Okay, what's your name?
Lucky last one. My name is Matt Zepperman.
Matt Zuckerman? Okay, go ahead.
I'm Matt Zepperman. I'm an elected member of the Marina Coast Water District Board of Directors. But today I'm here as a private citizen and a citizen of Marina. I'm a scientist, a PhD in ecology from UC Davis, and I spent my career in the Air Force as a civil engineer doing water projects in Afghanistan, the Middle East, and Alaska and Texas. Last month, the City of Marina Planning Commission unanimously denied a permit by the California American Water Corporation to install industrial slant well pumping stations in the city's endangered coastal habitat. If the CalAm Corporation appeals the permit denial, this bill will likely come before this commission. The CalAm Corporation maintains that installing industrial slant wells in the coastal habitat of an economically disadvantaged community is the only option to provide more water to full development, to additional development in the more affluent communities of Monterey, Carmel, and Pebble Beach, which is 30 miles down the coast from Marina. In fact, as you heard this morning, there have been many feasible proposals to provide water that would have been rejected over the last 40 years that would not have damaged Marina's coastal resources. The reason the CalAm Corporation is currently focused on slant wells is they are, by statute, guaranteed a 10% profit on any money they expend. So their economic incentive is therefore to prefer the most expensive feasible water source, and industrial slant wells and desalination of brackish groundwater are hands down the most expensive way to provide water currently under consideration. The CalAm Corporation has resisted other options, specifically the Pure Water Monterey recycling project, because it would be a much less expensive project. It would consequently have a lower profit margin for them. However, expansion of the recycling plant is feasible, would supply more than enough water to meet the Monterey Peninsula's needs, and importantly, would have no impact on coastal habitat. As we have learned more about recycling water, its advantages have become abundantly clear. In fact, last week, the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District Board broke with the CalAm Corporation and voted to consider recycling as an alternative to the coastal slant well project. I'm requesting that you follow the lead of the local public agencies and give us the opportunity to develop a new water supply that will have no impact on our coastal resources. If it comes before you, please uphold the City of Marina Planning Commission's decision to protect our coast. Thank you.
So, my name is John Wizard. I'm on the City Council in the City of Seaside. My comments today are my own and don't represent the council. Excuse me. It's hard to breathe and talk at the same time with the council.
You have to work out more.
I should. Stop running. Very out of shape. Just to be succinct, the cost of desalination is it's something that my community cannot bear. Most of the people in my community are very low income. We have the lowest median income on the entire peninsula. And the cost of desalinated water, which I'm sure you're aware is astronomical. So adding that cost plus the facility fees, the capital project itself will not be a sustainable amount of money to charge the ratepayers in the City of Seaside for any length of time. Additionally, the City of Seaside has land in the former Fort Ord, and the Marina Coast Water District services those ratepayers. And so the environmental harm that would be caused by the perforated straw that is slant well, while protecting the ocean with entrainment and entrapment issues, the perforated straw design of the slant well will foul the Marina Coast Water District's groundwater supply, which will cost money to repair, which will be borne by Seaside residents as well as Marina residents, because we have residents in the Marina Coast Water District service area. So not only would the desal plant harm the people in Seaside proper, who are CalAm ratepayers, but the desal plant would harm Seaside residents in the former Fort Ord, who are Marina Coast Water District ratepayers. And so on two fronts, the City of Seaside is harmed, and all to serve the hotel industry in Monterey, who wants to build more hotels at the cost of the residents of the urban labor camp that is my community.
Okay, so that's all the slips I have. Everybody satisfied? Yes, thank you. Jack, I would just like to ask, is there the CalAm issue that everyone's showed up today and been so patient for the afternoon? Do we have any updates on the commission will be hearing anything on this? Or?
Yeah, we expect once the City of Marina, your City Council, is likely to deny the project, we'll see it on appeal.
I'll see it on appeal, but that's just a process, we don't know the time on that.
Right, but it should be pretty soon.
Okay, so we'll be back.
In the next few months.
All right, thanks. All right, we have anything else, Jack?
No.
All right, we're adjourned for the day, and thank you all for your patience. I really appreciate it.